Okay, black people, peace and black power. I'm back with another hot video. Tonight, we're going to talk about the constant continuation, pervasive institutions of racism, the entity of racism. This channel was born because I want to see, and I would love to see, white supremacy be dismantled, disarmed. I like to see white supremacy crushed out, stomped out. That's why this channel came into fruition. You feel what I'm saying? This is Underground Warrior TV. Go ahead, come on in, subscribe to the channel. And them likes, y'all just don't know. That makes the video rotate. If you view the channel, go ahead and like the channel. If you look at the video, like the video. Racism, no matter where black people at, the African, don't matter where we at, we being subjected unequally treated by the sector of white supremacy. This is why I feel the way I feel, and if you feel the way I feel as a black man, you will love to see white supremacy be stomped out. I will celebrate. If white supremacy die, if it just die out, I will celebrate in my lifetime. Racism continued to be a pervasive entity in the world of white supremacy. No matter where we at, we are the ones being oppressed and suppressed, likely to be killed based on race. How is it that this channel is undeserving to get the attention because I speak the truth? I don't understand that. There's other channels out here that speak half truths, tell half histories, but I'm going to tell the whole history. If we're going to speak on history, we got to tell it like it is. Not his story, but the real history. We must speak on it. Even in this country, they trying to do away with teaching the history. The real true history of America and throughout the world of white supremacy, how it came into fruition, how it started to make triumph up over the planet. We want to go back to the core so we can stop this crazy maniac reptilian Neanderthal for destroying our people and destroying the planet as well. She is destroying the planet. White supremacy is destroying the planet. Systemic racism. Systemic racism is in Canada, baby. I used to hear people say Canada wasn't racist like America. Canada is just as racist as America. I did a little studying, not too much, studying on every aspect of the racism when I found out that the monarchy at one time, that this was a colony of Great Britain. Now I understand why Canada is so racist in its time. Why Canada is so racist. Toronto, Canada is so racist. Black people in Canada, black people in Canada, the black communities in Canada led a protest against the police department for promoting a race soldier. A race soldier named Rick Shank from Toronto. He is a police that was promoted to superintendent in 2001. I was looking at a CTV News article out of Toronto as I'm reading this online. The chief of police, Marion Dembski, I believe that's how his name is pronounced, Dembski, Marion, said he stands by this race soldier, Rick Shank. This shows you how white supremacists view us black people. They don't care about us. The name of their game is to kill us no matter where we at. Now this race soldier that I'm talking about, in 1993, he shoots and kills a black man, 23 years old, Ian Coley. Shoots him cold-blooded and lie in a disposition saying that the brother pointed a gun at him, but it was subsequently found out they didn't have a gun. This is deep. 1997, Rick Shank, him and his cronies, other officers, beat a black man, 29 years old, Paul Reese. Beat his mother up, beat his whole family up in the melee. Yes, beat the whole family up. They arrested Paul Reese, put him in a squad car. His family tried to follow the squad car to make sure they didn't further beat him and cause him bodily harm, but they boxed their car in so they couldn't follow the other cop car, which had Paul Reese in the back seat. His mother said she knew something sinister was going to happen to her son. They pulled over at a cemetery and commenced to beating her son all the way to the police department. Once they put him back in the car, police sat in the back seat and beat him all the way to the station. He's promoted to superintendent. After killing one and killing one and then beating another brother. So, some members of the Toronto black community are raising concerns after this race soldier was promoted to superintendent. He was cleared of 2 murders. He had a murder in 1997. Yes, black family. He killed another man in 1997, in which he went to court on. He was arrested, made bond, and went to court. The first trial was a hanged jury, and the second trial he was found not guilty. Subsequently found not guilty in racist system in Toronto. Yeah, he killed that brother in 1993. 1997, he killed a brother that was sitting in a car unarmed 9 times. He shot a brother, Hugh Dawson, 1997, shot him 9 times. That's after beating the one brother, Paul Reese. How was this guy promoted to to superintendent in 2021. And the police chief, the beginning of this year, like February, made a statement that he stands by his decision, the department's decision to promote Rick Shank, who killed 2 black people unjustly and beat a whole family up and never was found guilty of each infraction. No matter where we at, black family, I told you. But we always forget these people. We always forget these people. So let me get this straight. In 2021, they promote this race soldier to superintendent. And the reason why I bring that up, because in 2021, June of 2021 or somewhere in 2021, the summer of 2021, Vanessa Alexander, a black woman, 26-year-old black woman, was violently, physically assaulted by her white neighbor, a white man, 300-pound, beats on a little woman who weighs something like 93 pounds. He pounces on this sister, take her head to the concrete and bang it on the concrete. Check this out. He beat her so bad that the other neighbor across the street for where they stayed at called 911 to report what was happening. Toronto police, 2021, said that they are too busy to send a squad car because it was a black woman being beaten by a white coward, a white man who weighed 300 pounds. And the reason why he jumped this sister was based on the color of her skin. He make an excuse and say her dog ran in his yard. She never went in his yard. She called her dog out the yard. He came over complaint. And she tried to explain he sucker punched her. Punched her in the face. 300-pound white man. Slams her to the ground. Runs her head on the ground. Concrete her head to the ground. So, this chump was named Shelly Doucet. Shelly Doucet, a 300-pound white man. He did damage to this sister. Her eye is damaged. Her face, nose were damaged. I didn't know Canada was that racist. That's what people tell me. They didn't know Canada was that racist. Then someone told me Canada wasn't racist. There's a pervasive element of racism within the history and within the fiber of Canada. What is people talking about? So, some members of the black community needs to speak out against what's going on in Toronto. I mean, racism continue to be a pervasive matter, no matter where we at. Systemic racism is a potent weapon against our people. The Canadian black people reported in 2023 that workplaces in Toronto uh, is full of racism. Just the work areas, you know, the job, you know, being on your job, place of employment, racism. That's it. You can't tell me the racism don't exist in Canada. I'm tired of hearing you black people tell me that. You know, what about the football player? I know y'all recently seen where this football player writes a note to the police department, say he forgive him, but they beat him into retirement. Yeah, CFL football player Orlando Bowen was beaten bad by the police. And they gave him a concussion. They beat him so bad it injured him where he couldn't even play football no more. Your livelihood. And you write a letter, Orlando Bowen, you know, you must be a Christian. You know, Christian people, you know, they forgive, you know, these white people for murdering our people for over 400 years and won't forgive their next door neighbor if they did something like that to that magnitude that's black like them. But white people, they get the benefit of the doubt and they keep continuing to beat us and kill us. You feel me? I done brought up 3 situations. The police, Vanessa Alexander, who got beat violently, physically, you know what I'm saying? Orlando Bowen, the killings and beating of our people in Canada, and people trying to tell me Canada ain't racist. Peep this video out, and I'll be right back.
There are some concerns being raised tonight about the people who patrol them. Specifically, one officer who was cleared in the shooting deaths of 2 black men in the 90s and is now the head of the force's professional standards unit. CTV's John Woodward joins us. John, why is this coming up now?
Nathan, this was an appointment made in the midst of a stay-at-home order during the pandemic 2 years ago to lead the unit responsible for internal accountability and public confidence in the police. Now critics are questioning whether that appointment was properly thought through.
Rick Shank was a constable in 1993 when he shot and killed Ian Coley. The officer claimed the 20-year-old had pointed a gun at him. He was cleared by the Special Investigations Unit, though questions were raised at the coroner's inquest about Shank working alongside what was then known as the Black Organized Crime Squad.
It seems that this unit gives extra policing of people in the black community over and above all the normal policing.
In December of that year, a video obtained by CTV News shows Paul Reese's head hitting a police car as he's pulled unconscious from the vehicle.
You're under arrest for assault with intent to resist arrest. Do you understand that? I never assaulted nobody.
Reese claimed Shank and others had beaten him on the way to the police station after an arrest in a traffic stop that turned into a melee in his family's home. This photo, obtained by CTV News at the time, shows Shank's bloody knuckles. The trial judge threw out the charges against Reese, saying Shank was not executing his duties lawfully in the arrest. The appeals judge decided not to order a new trial, saying the evidence suggests that the actions of participants on both sides left much to be desired and far less than is properly expected by the community at large. Toronto police say Shank never faced any internal discipline proceeding for that incident. A $7 million lawsuit by Reese reportedly settled out of court. Fast forward to 1997. In a drug bust, Shank shot Hugh Dawson 9 times as he sat in his driver's seat unarmed. He was charged with manslaughter, a charge that led first to a hung jury and then an acquittal, with Shank noted for a Toronto police first, killing 2 people.
He's had this happen to him twice, and I mean, he knows what it's like. He's been through it, and he must just be a living nightmare.
Item number 5 is senior officer uniform promotion.
Decades later, in February 2021, Toronto's police board approved Shank's promotion to superintendent. He was assigned to lead professional standards. The move was little noted in the midst of Toronto's stay-at-home orders during the pandemic. Looking at it today, the promotion sends the wrong message, according to former Mayor John Sewell.
I mean, all of the bigwigs in the Toronto Police Service said this is perfectly fine. And I think what it means is that this is a real demonstration of police culture.
Our request to speak to Shank himself was sent through Toronto Police Communications, which says in a statement, Superintendent Shank has served as a police officer for over 30 years with an exemplary record and is recognized for his many contributions to policing. Over the course of his career, he has demonstrated the highest levels of professionalism, ethics, and leadership, and has a record of service to the community. We stand by Superintendent Shank and his service. Activist Desmond Cole wrote about Shank's position last week. He's wondering whether the optics of this decision, particularly in the Black community, were ever considered.
The signal that you're sending to the general public and to your own police by hiring someone like this into that job is that you can get away with whatever you want and you'll be rewarded.
Cole is calling for someone else to take that position.
The Toronto police say those incidents happened decades ago and misrepresent who he is as a person and a police officer. They say there was no misconduct or convictions. Critics say to run professional standards, the TPS's standards should be higher than that.
She was actually beat up by a 300-pound white man, her neighbor, after her dog ran into his backyard.
On June 20th, I was beaten pretty badly by my neighbor. Gigi took off, and I saw her running after a stray cat or some kind of bunny rabbit in the direction of the attacker, which is right beside Tony's house. His name's Shelly, and went into his backyard. And I stayed on Tony's property, and I called over Gigi, and she came back within like 10 seconds, and she knew she was in trouble, and I still had to discipline her. So I took her to my backyard. And then that's when from like the side, I can hear somebody, yelling out, "Hey, you buddy, pal, I'm talking to you, punk," using those kind of terms. And I've never spoke to Shelly before.
What was he saying to you? What was he calling you?
He called me buddy, pal, and punk. Those were the three terms. And that's when he approached me, and he's like, cursing and saying, "Hey, I'm effing talking to you. Hey, pal, you and your effing dog have been chilling in my backyard." So he's referring to past events, and I've never been in his backyard before. And I told him, I'm like, you don't approach me like that. That's what I said to him. And before I was even able to explain to him that I've never been there, it was like right away there was arms, like fists being thrown.
Fists being thrown at you?
Yeah, like right away. Like all I said to him was, "Don't approach me like that." And as soon as I said that, I just remember getting punched in the face, my eyes. He smashed my head on the concrete and kept going down.
Can you describe to me, what does this neighbor Shelly look like?
He's massive. He looks like he's in his 50s or 60s. He drives like a scooter that's mainly for elderly people. But he looks like he's about 300 pounds. He's 3 times my weight. He's a big guy. I'm 110 pounds. I never expected him to come to fight. I hit the ground pretty fast, and I just remember my head just going back and forth, him scraping me on the concrete. That's why I'm keeping my do-rag on to protect the new skin from exposed to the sun. He scraped me, ended up giving me 2 separate stitches, a total of 8, some of my eyebrow. It's gone. But I would say it was about plus 30 punches.
Did anybody call the police?
My friend called the police. My friend came. When she came, she told me that I was unresponsive, and she came before EMS. So EMS came pretty fast. The police, from what she told me, they said that they had other calls.
So let's clarify this. So EMS came. They took you away. Police didn't arrive because they said to you that they had other calls.
Yeah, they had other important calls. Other things were going on that day. They never had enough police officers.
So when did police finally get involved in this?
They came around like 6 o'clock in the morning.
The following day?
Yeah, around 6 o'clock in the morning, asking for a statement. And even when I was at the hospital, a nurse said she's going to be right back. There's a police officer that wanted to speak to you. And then she came back to me and said, he can't talk to you because he's a part of a different division.
So then what happened next after they took photos of your body and then finally got your statement?
They said that they were going to go and apprehend him. They were going to go right away.
Mm-hmm.
And they went to go to get Shelly. And from what I'm hearing, because I had some friends and other neighbors that were there outside trying to see what's going to happen, and the police drove away because he wouldn't come outside. So they needed they needed a warrant to get inside. So both of the officers went away and then came back hours later to then arrest him. He got arrested and the charge was bodily harm that it sits at right now.
What do you want to see done to this man who attacked you?
He needs to be punished. There has to be something that's more for him. And it's very privileged a system that we live in for some, and then that's not okay, because I might be his first victim on paper, but who knows if he's actually committed that before and just nobody knows about it. I don't want him on the streets, and I don't 200 meters away from me is all that they're putting in place right now. No, he doesn't need to be around anybody. He needs to be in jail and think about.
I signed a contract extension with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I was going into my 5th season. I go out to celebrate with my teammates. I'm waiting for them to meet up at a carpool location. I get to the location first. I see 2 guys walking towards me. One guy says, "Hey man, got any drugs?" And I'm like, "No. You mind if we go through your pockets?" They don't find anything. Then one guy says, "Okay, we're gonna have to put the cuffs on you." For what? Guy punched me in my side, just said, "Just do what you told, you effing asshole." The way these guys are behaving, they're not cops, man. The morning after the assault, though, when I was at the hospital, when the nurse asked me what happened, I wasn't gonna go into any detail with her, because I was just like, I can't believe this. So I was just like, I got jumped, and the nurse says, "Oh, by who, the police?" So I'm like, wait a minute, why did you say? I was offended by how she responded. It was too casual. I said, "Why did you say that? Why did you say it like that?" And she said, "Oh, well, because I see it all the time, but usually, the person is like a newcomer or like a teenager, or they don't speak English well." When we went to seek legal representation, and we had lawyers saying, "We don't want you to take this the wrong way, but in our professional judgment, we're going to recommend that you plead guilty to a lesser charge because you're black." And I was like, that doesn't even make any sense to me. I'm innocent. It wasn't just one law firm that had that type of sentiment. So then that speaks to there being a bigger systemic challenge in terms of perception and in terms of, are you really innocent until proven guilty? There is racism here in Canada. It's embedded in systems, institutions, education, housing, economics. It's been present for a long time. It's just now a lot of people are seeing it in a different light because of some of the things that have transpired over the last 18 months. Beatings continue, especially when they put the cuffs on me, and one guy was on my back and holding me down, and the other guy was just trying to get me flush in my face, right? But I couldn't move because my hands were pinned behind my back, and he puts his hand on his gun and he says to his partner, "I'm gonna shoot him in the head, I swear to God." And in that moment, I realized that if I establish the upper hand in this moment, I'll never see my family again. It's easier and more palatable to look at what happened to us as a one-off than to think that it could be systemic. If it's systemic, then we have work to do. In the US, when we're having conversations, folks are like, yeah, it exists, I've seen it. When I'm speaking with a number of Canadian audiences and I share what we've been through, they're like, in Canada? And then it takes a minute because they're just like, how is this even possible? I didn't even think that anything like this was possible in Canada. Sometimes it's hard knowing that I survived. It's recognizing that I have to do something because Mr. Floyd can't, Breonna Taylor can't, Regis can't, Jermaine Carby can't. The list is so long that they can't.
Yes, indeed. Canada, Toronto, Vancouver, no matter where you at. In Canada, she is racist just like her sister, America. Canada is just as racist, no matter where black people at. If you got white people in power, they will oppress the black population. We'll be the majority in their jails. We be the majority, be beaten and pulled over by police. We didn't be the majority unjustly convicted in the penal institution. So Canada is no different. The reason why I show you the video clips to prove my premise, to give you different insight. Each and every story could be told from a different perspective, and that's why I give you a video to further give you information. Because a lot of people, they tune into these channels and they don't believe the things that happen to black people. There's black people around me that's so dumb and confused, they can't see the racism. They can't even see the war that our black people are in at this time. We are at war as a people. They trying to erase us. So yes, Canada just is racist. I showed you the video where a sister was beat by a 300-pound white man. And when they called 911, her neighbors, to try to get some help, they refused to come to the scene. And they didn't want to arrest this race soldier. He was allowed to get out on bond and stalk the sister after beating the sister almost to death. The white man doesn't love you, black woman. And that's a fact. The chief of police in Toronto, chief of police, Marion Dembski, said he stands behind the promotion of Rick Shank, who killed 2 black men in the 90s and beat 1 black man down and punched his mother. He killed 2 black men. He was allowed to get away with that and promote it. What did Tupac say? Cop killer, Negro, he's a hero. You feel what I'm saying? So, you know, Toronto News article, it ignited me to come forth with this video. And then y'all see what happened to the one brother who was beat down, and he sends he wants to forgive the officers who beat him. He sends them a letter. They don't care nothing about that. That's one thing that Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. No matter how you try to be, what can I say, submissive, you know, try not to be seen as a threat. And I just call it trying to kiss the white man's ass. That's what it really means. No matter how much ass you kiss, you're black. Just like some of the Africans, our African brothers and sisters, our ancestors who participated in the slave trade. They came back and enslaved the brothers and sisters who captured us and sold us into slavery. They came back and captured them. Who do I mean they? The British, the Portuguese, the Americans, the European people came back and got them. And that's what's going to happen to the Trump supporters that's black with the MAGA hats on. Republicans get back and party, they going to hang them niggas for sport and play. They're going to hang them because they're going to tune up off them niggas. They're going to warm up. You know how a fighter got to warm up and fight a low contender before he fight not a contender, but a person that can take his belt? You got to have a warm-up fight. Who they gonna warm up on? Them niggas with them MAGA hats. Got Vanessa Alexander, she got beat. And the brother, Orlando Bowen, he got beat. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Peace and black power. Mash up the likes, share this video. I'm gone.